You're listening to the Lux Life Discovered podcast, where we talk with people who are living a lifestyle that reflects their passion, because we believe everyone should be living their best life, their Lux Life. The show is hosted by Rick Steiner with Steiner Event Group, a premier national event planning company, and co-hosted by Shannon Richmond, the Vice President of the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notifications of future episodes. The show is produced by 30A Media and is broadcast on your favorite podcast outlets, as well as YouTube, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TVs, and other major brand smart TVs.
Hello, I'm Rick Steiner with Steiner Event Group. Welcome to Lux Life Discovered. My co-host is Shannon Richmond with the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce. So Shannon,
thanks for having me again.
Ready for another great
podcast?
podcast?
Yeah, I'm already asking lots of questions that we're supposed to wait for.
That's why we had to start, because you kept asking questions.
Okay.
But our guest today is John Oya with Johnny Ocean Photography. And so, John, glad to have you with us today.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
Absolutely.
You have a style of photography that is very unique, and I don't know if I've ever known anyone that does the type of photography you do, but all of your work is underwater.
Yes. I shoot people underwater.
Yeah. So how did you come up with that concept?
It's interesting. I work for benthic spearfishing and descent spearfishing as a guide, and I shoot my clients underwater photos oftentimes for like their man cave or something cool like that, some just really neat shots.
Some of the fishing clients that...
Spearfishing clients.
Yeah.
So there's no catching, but shooting.
Right.
But there was a photographer I was very influenced early on who did really cool spearfishing photos. His name was Austin Powell. And I became friends with him, and he really inspired me, and some other also underwater photographers, but they were generally in the spearfishing realm. And then I had the opportunity, a friend wanted a really cool underwater photo of his daughter, who was a little ballerina. She was a young lady, and he wanted something just kind of cool. And I was like, wow, that might be kind of cool. And this is like maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I lined up a shoot with her, did a really neat shoot with her, and that's when it kind of really hooked me. And at the same time I was doing this, there was a TV show that would come on every now and then called So You Think You Can Dance?
Yeah.
And I don't like to compare it to American Idol, because American Idol can be really corny. This show is like, the dancers on it are like phenomenal. Yeah. And I have always fallen in love with the contemporary dancers and some of the... and I would see these just amazing dances underwater. I'm sorry, not underwater. I would see these amazing dances, and I would wonder what would it look like to see something like that and get an opportunity. Like I would see them leap. You would see all these things, but you're limited by gravity. And I would always, for some reason, just think, what would it be like if I shot one of these dancers underwater? And that's kind of where it kind of grew from.
Well, how many people could think about that? It's one thing to think about it and then be able to pull it off.
Well, I didn't know that they actually went in the water. I thought he made them look like they were in the water, but they're actually under the water. Like you said, one with the violin. I mean, they're under the water in these elegant dresses. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want one.
I told you yesterday that you'd be impressed with this.
Yeah.
So the guy with the ballet company that you shot...
His daughter.
No.
Rico,
yes.
Rico, he works for the Fred Astaire Academy in Fort Walton Beach. Right. And I was doing a project for Maxine Orange Gallery. Maxine I'd gone to a number of her events, and she had seen some of my work and was interested in doing a show with me. And so I was trying to think of concepts. And I thought what would be really cool. I was actually visiting with Chandler over at Modus Photography.
Okay.
Where I came up with the idea of what would it be like to shoot other artists underwater.
Right.
And he was the first one I wanted to shoot, because he was kind of the one that I came up with the idea with. But Chandler, if you know him, is crazy busy. And I almost completely missed out on shooting him. He ended up being the last one right before the show. He called me like 2 weeks before the show, and he's like, hey, you got time still to shoot me? I was like, heck yeah.
Drop everything, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one who helped me kind of come up with this whole idea in a sense. And I'd helped him on a project before for his fine art work. And he's just an amazing photographer. I'm just always just humbled to even be near around him.
Aw.
And then I was lining up different artists. I wanted to try. I didn't want to. I wanted to musicians, ballerinas, dancers, just various things. And another local photographer who's well known, Sean Murphy, had mentioned to me that he knew a dancer that he thought would be perfect, Rico, for me to shoot underwater. And it was funny, the same day, another person had mentioned the gentleman. I thought, oh, this is such a interesting coincidence.
Everybody's mentioning him.
Yeah, so yeah, when I shot Rico, it was just amazing. And I had the pleasure of shooting Sean Chandler, Kate, who's a ballerina from Russia who taught in, I believe, Saudi Arabia, and her mother, I believe, lives in the Fort Walton Beach area. So she's here temporarily. Bradley Copeland, the amazing artist, just around the corner from you guys, over here on 30A.
So are these people in the ocean?
No, none in the ocean. And the reason why I don't do the ocean or the Gulf is because of the inconsistencies of our waters, basically. I mean, I always tell people horizontal and vertical clarity are rarely the same. So you can stand on the edge of a boat or whatever, and it can look crystal clear, and you're like, wow, the water looks amazing. And then you get in the water, and then the viz is only like 3 or 4 feet because all the little particles and everything in the water. So it makes it very difficult. The strong salt also really messes with people. The conditions, of course, the tides, the waves. There's just so many things that are unpredictable.
I was going to ask you if there was any wildlife that came in while you, but that makes sense then.
Yeah.
So many unknowns that you can't.
Yeah, the wildlife wouldn't be as big of a deal. But so I shoot in pools, and often for a private pool, or I have a pool at the Emerald Coast Scuba that I rent, and I make a little studio there. I've got this massive I've had these backdrops, 30 foot by 40 foot, made with the help of a local seamstress out of Destin, who I couldn't be more pleased to work with. It's a husband-wife team, and they just, things like that, those little things just make my job so much easier. Because when I started doing this, I would try to do this stuff myself, and it was just a big mess. Because what you don't want is you don't want fabric and material that can get caught up in, my subject. Because, they're in the water. And what's cool about using the pool, it's 14 feet deep. That doesn't necessarily mean we're shooting at 14 feet.
Right.
But I can shoot it wherever I want, basically. Yeah. And that makes it.
What are you
really
thinking? This is crazy, isn't
it? Well, I was thinking at one point when we was talking is that, the 4 of us, you and John and Paul and I, we could do a shoot together. Can you imagine the 4 of us underwater trying to get a shoot?
Oh, do you do more than one person?
Beautiful.
I didn't think about that either. Yeah. That'd be tough. Yeah.
It would be interesting. One of the things I'm working on, I got another little fashion project I'm going to work on with Rico. And so but after that, what I really want to shoot is I want to shoot a ballerina couple. I think something just, to me, that is something I've had in my mind for so long, where I want just a beautiful couple, almost like in the middle of a throw or something like that. I think I could capture just something that's, I'm trying to find the right couple or the right male and female to do that.
That's awesome.
And so that is like something I really want to do.
Okay, so when you're used to being underwater, but you're also a spearfishing guide.
Yes.
So, and you were talking earlier about people can go under and they stay under for a minute or so without tanks, or
those are
they're more experienced.
Very. So part of what makes me a good underwater, I think, portrait photographer is I work with people all the time, and a large percentage of them are beginners. And I have come from a freedive background. We have an amazing freedive instructor in Destin. His name is Joe D'Agostino. He works out of benthic spearfishing. He's an FII instructor, so like you check out dive 60, 70, but he gets people unbelievably comfortable in the water. But for me, as a guide, I work with a lot of people. My typical client isn't like the tourist, more outdoorsman type of a thing. But I'm used to working with people who don't have a lot of water experience. So I have a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of patience. It does. It's not easy. Even people, everybody thinks they're comfortable in the water. You can ask Maxine Orange, many of my subjects. But as soon as they actually go underwater, that comfort changes.
Yeah, you're not breathing.
Very quick. Yeah.
So when you first started doing this, did it take like multiple attempts to get the right look with your? Well, I guess it would depend on your subject too, how comfortable they are.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I've had subjects who just weren't comfortable, and it showed. I did a couple shoot one time where the gal, it was a professional mermaid. She was based out of, for I think a year or two, China. Over there, I guess they have the big aquariums and stuff like that, and she's a redheaded lady, and so that's kind of something special over there. And so she was traveling through before going to Tulum, I think it was Mexico, where for the next couple of years. And I did a shoot actually with I was trying to do a Billy Bowlegs theme pirate with the mermaid type of a shoot, because I grew up going to the Billy Bowlegs festivals. I think it's just fantastic what they do. But after that shot, she wanted something really neat with her boyfriend, and her comfort level was real high. His wasn't so high. So what looked like a beautiful photo, but when you looked at it, you get a little discomfort on his face. And I think too, though, if I would have had him for another half an hour, it was kind of at the end of the thing. Whereas when I have somebody, it's just it's what I call acclimating. Everybody acclimates differently. Some people, like Rico, I don't even think it took 5 minutes for him. It was amazing working with him underwater. He just acclimated so quickly, and he's been just such a pleasure to work with. And then I have other people, it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes a half hour, sometimes an hour before.
Oh, wow.
But you're patient.
Oh, yeah, you have to be, because usually there's a reason. Usually I can see something, even in that, I can see something beautiful that's going to come together. It's just a matter of, and it's a lot of repeat, because you have so many things that can mess up a photo.
Oh, yeah.
You shooting underwater, you have a barrier between us. It's very different. Like when you shoot like on a windy day on the beach or something like that, you kind of wait for that wind to die down maybe, but you have that water constantly moving, and it's moving different parts of the face, the eyelid, the ear, the hair, the dress. There's so many different things. So you have to be very patient. And I have to be very patient later when I'm sorting through images, because oftentimes it can be a little depressing, because I can be
like, oh, that's perfect, but for
a lot of that.
So how many? I got a lot of questions. So when they're down there, how do they decide what they want to wear? For one,
we usually talk about that ahead of time.
Okay.
We'll talk, and they'll oftentimes send me ideas, photos, things like that, and I'll be like, oh, that'll look good. Maybe keep looking. For instance, when you saw the photo of Jessica, the violinist.
Yes.
Before we shot, I think her and Sean Murphy were traveling to South Florida, and they were going to hit up some thrift shops. So she was sending me some different pictures.
Oh, that's smart.
Of different dresses and things like that she wanted. And I saw one, I was like, that's it right there.
That's it. You saw it because you know.
Yeah. And so yes, it's just a matter of kind of, and sometimes they'll show up with 5 or 6 or 7 outfits, and we'll just pick one if that kind of makes sense. So
when you have all these pictures, and like you said, one could have your face or whatever, how many photos do you take to get that one special shot?
A lot. A lot. It's very different. I'm a very slow photographer. So if I was shooting the two of you on the beach, I might shoot 50 images. I'm very slow. I don't usually press the button until I see what I want. I'm not a clicker until I go underwater. And that was something I had to learn, because I found out really quickly that I was just missing so much. And I think actually I learned that from Sean Murphy a little bit when we were out one day doing kind of some spearfishing, and he was shooting some photos, and I just noticed he was just like blasting photos. And it was because he was trying to get that one shot where and that's what you're looking for. It's a portrait is what it is. So you're not looking for 20 images or anything like that. You're looking for that one shot that just is impactful, that you're going to blow up into a beautiful
sometimes
image.
When you think it's the right timing for a shot, by the time you click just that quick, it can change. And so
underwater it can change.
Like the water, like he was saying.
Right.
Very, very.
I didn't think about that part.
And then the little particles too. There are little particles often in the water also, and so my automatic focus can quickly jump to that, and so so there are just so many things that can disrupt
So from start to finish, so say we said, okay, tomorrow we're going to do this. How long does it take to get it done and then to get the beautiful picture back?
So the actual shoots average between 2 and 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Unless the person's like amazingly comfortable in the water, then it can be less.
It'd be 3 hours.
But there's that acclimate, and the other thing too is you have to think recall. So when you're taking if I'm taking a picture of you, I can be like, okay, move your arm here, do this, do that. But so few people have recall. Like with dancers, often they have amazing recall because they have to.
They do that, yeah.
But most people, they come up and you're like, oh, that was amazing. Do that again, repeat that. And they're like, I don't know what I did.
Right, I was going to ask you about that. So when you, like if you're underwater shooting and you want somebody to do something, how do you communicate? Just when you come up?
When they come up, we'll usually, I try to, if I can, get them go right back down to the exact same thing. Oftentimes, though, if they're part of being a good guide is recognizing people, their comfort level. And when a person's starting to get a little tired or something like that, I have to recognize that for safety reasons. And we'll swim to the edge of the pool, take a break real quick. But the problem again is by the time we're done taking that break, they've totally lost in their head what it was that we were doing. And
you have to start over, kind of.
Yes.
Oh.
And so there's that. And then it can take me a couple of days to sort through images because usually the first 75% of them are the ones that aren't really all that good. And so, and I have to look at each one. I have to look at each one. And so I like to take my time on that. And then I narrow it down and I try to pick something that just stands out. And then from there.
But you have the eye for that. I'd look through them all and go, okay.
I think I do.
But you have the eye to.
I'm working on that eye.
Okay.
Does that become kind of as big a hindrance as anything else because you're well, you said you're not a perfectionist, but wanting to get the right thing, does that become, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's really nice when you see when it's like this hit of, I don't even know how to describe it. When you just see something beautiful, I mean, for the first time, that feeling you get, that's something, I mean, really impactfully beautiful, something you've just never seen before, how that emotion just hits you. When I see that, that's like makes it all worth it.
That's neat.
And then the feedback you get from the client when they see it, that's amazing.
I wonder what they have in mind of what they think they're going to get. And then when they see what you actually produce, it's just mind-blowing. It's gorgeous. They look so relaxed. That's why I thought he just painted them in water.
Yeah. Well, it's like the girl playing the violin. It's like
Jessica was not comfortable at all.
Really?
And at one point, I thought we were going to have to pause and be like, oh, let's do this another day if we can finish it. And she was like, no, I'm never doing this again. Let's do this now. But the funny thing was her images turned out beautiful. She did so well. And she was fantastic. I think part of it was
be honest, was Maxine the hardest to deal with?
Maxine was a pleasure. Maxine,
I love Maxine. I had to give her a hard time.
Maxine was. I'm still humbled that she even considered me
to
be showcased at her gallery, and I'm just gonna always be thankful for that.
That's awesome.
It was just absolutely unexpected. It wasn't something that I had ever really thought of. Thank you, Maxine.
Well, she's great at her gallery, and we kind of touched on this yesterday, of allowing other artists to come in and showcase their work. And she has a good eye on who to allow to come in and do that. So
what she saw me, I don't know.
Your work is fantastic. So, and then we were talking. You don't shoot like fish, like wildlife, that type thing.
No.
But you shoot people that have hunted, spearfished with their fish.
Yes.
So with all of that, though, are they comfortable when you approach them?
Yes. Well, yes, those are
because they're already in the water.
Their comfort level. The problem you have with them is most dudes don't really know how to pose very well and hold the fish upside down, and they're in a rush to get it back on the boat. It's like, stop, slow down. Yeah. So I mean, it's fun and everything like that. But for me, taking a subject like a dance or in the case like thinking about shooting a couple of ballerina underwater really is something special. I had a friend of mine during the show who brought a little underwater Barbie doll mermaid as a gag gift. And I was sitting there, and you may have seen on my Instagram, I think I have 2 underwater Barbie posts. So I
Oh my
took
gosh.
actually, and was like, huh, what would this be like actually? And so I made a little tiny little studio in a shallow pool and shot
Oh, that's
this.
hilarious.
And it turned out really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
So doing this has allowed you to kind of like expand and think about different options and different other concepts in.
Yeah, yes. I was, I think it was in the early 90s. There was a fashion photographer. His name was, not a photographer, a fashion, a gentleman, a couture designer, fashion designer. His name was Gianni Versace. And he did this Miami collection in South Beach. And if you look through, he has a book called, I think it was Miami Stories or Miami something or another. And you have all these fellas in his clothing jumping into a pool. And I always wondered what would it look like
If you got it underneath.
the second part of that. And so I have a couple 2 shirts from back in it that are originally from his
Collection.
from when he was alive. And I've been talking with Rico about it. We're going to try to
Get the other part
get
of
the
it.
other part of it now.
Have you ever shot a
cool.
bride and groom underwater yet?
I haven't shot a bride and groom, but I've shot a lot of what they call, I think they call it trash the wedding dresses and
Yeah.
stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I love doing that kind of stuff. They can look so beautiful.
Aw.
Well, if you're going to try some dress, do it
Maternity
with
also,
flash,
maternity underwater can be really
Oh,
beautiful.
I bet so.
I've had that pleasure because it's a special moment. It's something really special.
I think you need to get him the first bride and groom.
That would be
That's true.
That would be
Meant to
really
be that.
cool.
That would be cool, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
With
That
the
would be-
bride, like with that, and even with the dress Maxine had, well, all of them. How do you really got to have the water just right so it doesn't like
So that's the nice
Well,
thing. That's the
yeah.
nice thing about a pool
true. It keeps
is,
that, yeah.
generally speaking, it's a controlled environment, and that's what I want. Is because I have enough things out of my control as it is, so I want at least to have some degree of water clarity, water temperature,
Yeah.
just things to where like a person can reach the ledge real easily, or if needed, we can move them over a little shallower if their comfort level is not real high in the 14-foot
Right.
deep.
That's
That's so cool.
I know. It's just like, yeah, it's just such a neat concept, and it's just looks so natural.
Maternity shots under there, that's
Yeah.
gotta be pretty awesome.
Yeah, maternity is it's really special. I mean, I'm trying to create something already that's something so beautiful that's already taking place, and trying to capture that
Yeah.
in a very different way. It's really nice.
Bride and groom, Rick.
I know.
Bring it to him.
The whole this. So you could even do like, I'm just thinking like groomsmen, right? The groom and his groomsmen jumping
Oh,
in.
they would have a
Yeah,
book, like
that-
the second
yeah,
half of the
yeah,
Versace
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, there's I think if you can kind of imagine it to an extent, it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with
Yeah.
for ideas.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool too. Is when somebody will come to me with an idea, and it's like,
And so if you have any ideas for John, let it put it in your comments.
please.
It'd be interesting to see what people come up with and think of, because that would be interesting.
I want one.
It's like how long I can hold my breath underwater and what I could do.
The breath hold is it's I try to explain to people, it's yes, there comes a point where you have to breathe, but generally it's just a discomfort in the beginning. Most people are not anywhere near that where they have to take a breath. It's just a discomfort. It's like any
Well,
other
it's because you know you
discomfort.
can't breathe.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed shooting dancers underwater is because they're always in a state of discomfort. So they acclimate to those discomforts differently than I think most. And all that is that urge to breathe is just another discomfort. I kind of liken it to if you're driving down the road and you're 10 or 15 miles from a gas station and your empty light comes on, your car doesn't just stop.
Yeah.
You still have fuel in the
Oh,
tank.
yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just all it is a discomfort.
Yep.
And acclimating the person, getting them used to, getting them comfortable.
And you have patience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have that
We
virtue.
bombed out.
Yeah.
So, but no, that's just interesting. The first time I saw your work when Maxine had posted that you were going to be featured in her gallery, I loved your work from that point forward, because it's just, I love things that are unique. And
That's definitely
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah. At times, I'm just like, wow, how am I doing? You know, how am I able to do this? This is really kind of
Have you
special.
been surprised at how well it's been received?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yes. At first, you know, I did it for myself and for another person, and falling in love with it. It's really neat to find something that, you know, that I really enjoy doing, and other people going, wow, and at the same time, I realize it's not for everyone, and I don't think anything is,
Right.
and that's okay. I'm okay with that. So, but the people who see it really like it, and it's one thing to see it digitally, and then as you see when with the print, it's a completely different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is, yeah, I mentioned to you yesterday, we did an underwater shoot at a pool in Arkansas with one of my models one time. Such a neat concept, such a neat, you know, it was just something unique that we'd never done before. In fact, on my website, if you go to the SEG Talent, where you click on it, there's a picture of Lucas right there with the underwater. So yeah.
And it went well.
It did. It was fun. Photographer loved it. She'd never done it before, so it was kind of a good learning experience.
Experimental.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to start experimenting.
Yeah. But I think that I don't know if she's ever done it before or not. So to know that that's all you do, because like you said yesterday, if you did the other photography, there are plenty that do the other work.
There are just so many good photographers in this area. I mean, so many really, really talented photographers. And so,
Yeah, but when you do one thing and you do it well and you just keep getting better and better and better, I'd stick to that one thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
well, I love the water. It's probably my favorite place to be. I spend most days in the water. So
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always, if you ever see me at I work part-time at benthic spearfishing, and it's not unusual. I'll have one of my buddies gave me it's like a little hanging device that I can hang on my side mirror of my vehicle, where my wetsuit, I can throw my wetsuit to dry while I'm at work. And so
Oh, wow.
so if you pull up, you'll know that I was in the water.
There you are.
And
Yep.
most days,
Oh,
my
that's
wetsuit's hanging
awesome.
there. Yeah.
Well, John, we appreciate you being here so much. I can't believe the time has already gone by, but tell people how they can contact you or look for more of your work. And
You can, on Instagram, it's Johnny Ocean Photography, and then www.johnnyoceanphotography.com. And if you have an idea, a subject, something that you would like to, or wonder, I've shot cheerleader underwater, which turned out really beautiful. I mean, high school senior photos underwater look really different and unique.
There's so many things.
You can do athlete, like football player, baseball player underwater. I mean, it really is. And what's so cool is it just gives it a completely different look.
Yep.
right.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us for another episode of Lux Life Discovered. We will see you soon. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, click on subscribe, and enjoy our channel.
Check out Lux Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Lux Life Discovered.